Greetings. We're so glad to have you here, and we're waiting for a couple more of our friends to come. So let's get right into safety and security in your Hall County School District. Doesn't happen once a year. It doesn't happen once a month. It is continuous, and we thought it would be appropriate at this time just to give an update of safety and security, operations, planning, personnel, et cetera. So Avery, Eric, Aaron, turn it over to you.
Certainly. We're trying something tonight with the microphone. Hopefully everyone can hear us okay through the microphone. So wanted to bring the board an update, what we're doing regarding safety and security. And bottom line is, you guys know that this is a ongoing, continuous process for this. We think about safety and security every day. We are constantly looking at our processes and procedures and we are revising as new strategies come out, as new technologies come out. And so it really is, it's a conversation we could have any day of the week of the school year in the summer. We're going to talk about 5 buckets tonight with you. Physical entry and surveillance, plans, drills, exercise and audits, communication and collaboration, personnel, and mental and emotional health. Make sure you guys know our colleagues, Avery Niles and Eric Raddick, they're going to accompany me during our conversation.
Aaron, let's give a little background. Eric, a former Marine, has been involved in our school safety planning and provision for the last decade. Avery Niles, lifetime of law enforcement, as well as actually the individual who was over the entire state's Department of Juvenile Justice for 8 years. So we're blessed to have both of them in our district. They eat, drink, and sleep safety. And they know what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Will. So let's talk first about the entry control points. That's any entrance to the school, front door, back door, side doors. We have all of our doors are secured. We have a entry vestibule at the front door for security. So visitors are greeted and are buzzed in upon authentication to where they're there, but there is a physical barrier between the exterior and then a security vestibule before you get to the students. Of course, the secure exterior door is only as good as if the doors are locked. And so we have a practice in Hall County Schools where we have 200% accountability, and constantly our leadership, our SROs, folks from district office, teachers are simply pushing on the doors. Are they locked? And we are recording this, and we all have QR codes on the back of our ID badges. And last week we passed 1,000 door checks recorded. And frankly, I'm in the school any day. I may push on 8 or 10 door checks, and I record one. So that 1,000 is 8 to 10 times lower than the actual checks that happen in our schools.
Aaron, I'd also say that our food service folks, our maintenance folks who are in and out of schools all the time have that same QR code. So individuals who know where the doors are, who know how to get into buildings, are the ones checking, and principals get a report on a weekly basis, how many doors were checked, which was left open. There's a spot for comments, and we're always looking to improve. Once again, those numbers range 90 to 95% of locked. And that's up significantly from when we started this a couple of years ago.
Absolutely, 92.3% was the number at the end of last week. And as importantly, when there are issues with doors that are found, a door is warped or something like that, workers are put in, and the maintenance department addresses those as top priority. There's an escalation point for those safety issues through the work order system. Also, we have moved to card access cards, these right here. Many reasons why we've gone to that. First of all, it's very hard to duplicate these at Home Depot, like you can a physical key. If when we have an employee who may no longer be with us, we simply deactivate the card. Don't have to worry about retrieving the physical key that he or she may or may not have duplicated. When we have activities like Park and Rec in a season, we can give the sponsor one of these keys access to only that particular door. And then when the season's over, even if they don't return the card, we can deactivate the card. We have Checkmate in all of our front offices, and what Checkmate is when a visitor comes to the school, their driver's license is scanned, and their name and similar names are compared against the National Sex Offender Database. And if there is a match or a near hit, it goes to the administration to then make a decision. And most often, those individuals do not get into our schools. But some people have the same name. In those cases, law enforcement will indeed verify who the person is there, and if they are indeed a sex offender or can have access to our students.
Is it only sex offenders? Is there any other database that it can be checked against?
It's just sex offenders.
Is there any other database that it can be checked against?
Not right now. All we have is the sex offender database. So we do have within Infinite Campus, we do have notification of legal custody type things where a spouse or whomever can or cannot see the child. So we have all those court-ordered mandates in our system also, but nothing as a federal level besides sex offenders. We've got grid maps in place for all of our schools, and if you can recall, that is the battleship type grid map. You have numbers and letters, so that if maybe the back door at North Hall High School may be J6. And why is that important? Let's say we've got a student who needs medical care. The front office personnel can talk to dispatch and say the student is near door J6. They pull around back of North Hall High School, immediately get access to the student, not have to go through the hallways, potentially disrupting class change or something with the student or with the stretcher. It's much more efficient, and it's a common language because many law enforcement do not know our schools. And so this gives us a common language to use for law enforcement.
But Aaron, not only law enforcement, but fire and emergency all have access and are familiar with the grid map, so everybody knows we're talking about the same thing. If you show up at Flowery Branch High School and say we have an issue in room 406, that doesn't mean anything to an emergency responder or a Flowery Branch police officer. J6 does. They pull it up on their computers. They're going to the exact same place. We're all speaking the same language. So thank you for investing in that mapping, which occurred now 4 or 5 years ago, I guess.
And it's updated every year, verified by the principal and updated. Law enforcement brought us this solution. It's a military solution, probably 2019 or 2018, and it's been phenomenal to have that common language. We have cameras in all of our schools. All of our school leadership and SROs have mobile access to the cameras also on their phone or their iPad, whatever they may be using. Also, Hall County Emergency Management has access to all of our cameras. We have a memorandum of understanding in place that they do not sit around watching our cameras all day, but when the incident does happen, they have instant access to it right there. Also, Gainesville City has it, so the partner agencies have access to these cameras because it's too late when an incident happens to then grant access. So it's on all the time. We just did complete a major upgrade, final stage, a major upgrade for our camera system this summer. We don't no longer have any analog cameras in our schools. And part of that process is because the cameras are better clarity, we were able in many cases to replace 2 cameras with 1 camera in many places. One of the lagging features is that if you went into a front office of a school, you may see a black square that may lead someone to think that the camera is not operable. Camera's not there anymore, because there's now a new camera that is there that's covering that space plus at a much more high definition level. We're down to about a half dozen requests to fulfill on that. We have all the hardware on site. We're waiting right now to get the cabling finished on those. We're in pretty good shape on that. Obviously, with growth around schools like the apartment complex, Flowery Branch High School, we're adding new cameras as needed. We do have a security alert system. We saw how valuable that was with the tragedy in Barrow County. We use SaferWatch. It is a phone app. While I love the beautiful North Georgia topography, the hills do cause problems with cell phone signals. We have some cell phone boosters in many of our schools. We have on order more cell phone boosters, but all of our staff, certified and classified, can connect to the Wi-Fi. So they can do Wi-Fi calling. Of course, that works great with the apps also. And the final thing I'd like to mention in this segment is all of our adults, no matter classified, certified, whatever, all have ID badges, and we wear them all the time. All of our high school kids have ID badges, and they wear them all the time. I'm in our schools and I see our staff, making sure the students not only have them but are wearing them, not in their backpack or whatever, because there's a lot of high school kids who look like teachers. And vice versa. And that is one of the key pieces of see something, say something. Is I don't see an ID badge. Let me walk you to the front office, and so that you can so that we know who you are and such. So let's take a dive into the plans and drills. Mr. Niles, sir.
Aaron, before you leave that idea of immediate notification, because I've heard a lot of misnomers
Yeah.
over the last several days. First of all, I'm certainly thankful that the system worked down in Barrow County. We've looked at all the systems, and one of the challenges with some of the systems is that, for instance, if you're a coach out on the football field, which is where a lot of these type events happen, or if you're out running cross-country around the campus with some of your kids, tell us about the app and the geofencing and some of the reasons that we chose the app that
Certainly.
we have that certainly has some advantages over anything else we saw.
Certainly. We did a very thorough examination of what was on the market 2022 when we adopted SaferWatch. And we chose SaferWatch because some of the solutions on the market, there's several push-button lanyard type of solutions. And one of the challenges at the time was that there was no indicator if the battery was dead or not. And we were concerned that if a teacher is pushing the button in a time of need, thinking help was coming, and the battery was dead, there was no help coming. Also, they were connected to infrastructure that were battery powered again, that were not that didn't have any notification of the battery going dead. We chose SaferWatch because I know when my cell phone goes dead. It's no doubt. And this gave us the opportunity to give everyone the ability to send the school into lockdown if they were in the classroom, if they were in the bus ramp, if they were on the far edge of the playground. We've set up a geofence around all of our schools, and the app is only active inside that geofence. So if I'm at the grocery store with my 3-year-old and he gets a hold of the app and pushes it, it's not going to go off. So it really is the best of both worlds. We do test this twice a year, once in pre-planning and once the first day back from Christmas vacation. All the schools practice it, and with our SaferWatch app, all district leadership and emergency management get notification immediately. Tells us where it is, the address of where it is, who activated it. And so we have a location, and we know where to respond as law enforcement. When we've tested it, it's been very, very, very fast. It also integrates with our intercoms and our new intercoms, and it sets off the intercom alarm.
We depending on all the teachers to have the app downloaded
We
on
have-
their own phone,
Yes.
and a response time as compared to a push button. I mean, I know the push buttons are
Both are
very low
immediate.
battery.
Yeah.
Both
You
are immediate.
gotta,
Within a second or two, and I'm getting a call, law enforcement's getting a call, 911's getting a call, and folks are there. It's pretty incredible.
Up to
It's
just a
hard
matter
around
of
here in a
seconds.
couple of days we're
all
testing.
teachers having their access to their phones with them at all times?
Well, what you'd hope is that you have somebody, well, not hope, but everybody on every hall has got something covered. And so, again, our experience was, I don't see many folks that don't have their phone with them. And so, but we believe, without a doubt, particularly when you threw in the outside and the geofencing, it was the best choice at the time.
At the time, yeah.
All righty. Hope I didn't cut it off. Correct. Just want to go over plans, drills, exercise, and then audits. Detailed safety plans. I'm happy to report that every last one of our schools have submitted, and I've reviewed all of those plans. We're going to be uploading those into our local EMA, Emergency Management Agency, on tomorrow. Those plans will be uploaded after they're reviewed by the local and sent in to GEMA. So we are in compliance with that. talk a little bit about the audits and the way that those plans that we submit are updated annually. So if we change schools, layout, or whatever, those plans are updated. We actually go out and look at it, make sure that the administration at each one of the schools know about, in case of an emergency, what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And those are, again, reviewed annually. Submitted and audited by our local GMA. That's the partnership that we have with our locals. If I run across any issues, then I send it to GMA, let them look at it, they send it back, we send it back to the school, update their version of it, resubmit it to them to make sure that when we upload it in the portal, it's correct. Okay? One of the routine safety audits that we do, and you all have heard about how the audits, what happens during an audit, why do we even exist to do an audit? Those things are so critical to operation. We first started with GMA. GMA came in and did an assessment on how to penetrate our system. And that was a success. But the key to it is it gives the school administrator 100% accurate, updated information right then and there. Immediate feedback to the principals. The principals can share that information with the staff. Those are what they call the STAR audits. We have, in turn, partnered with our local sheriff's office to do those assessments just like what we would do with GMA, but on a regular basis. Matter of fact, we have some of those scheduled to come up soon. Can't tell you when it will be, but those are scheduled to come up.
Avery, that points out they are unannounced audits, and everybody knows that they're coming, and folks have gone from fearing to appreciating and utilizing the information, and we get stronger every time we do a series of audits. So.
Can you describe the audit for somebody that are not familiar with
So you all have probably heard that you have a known person that will go in to your school and try to penetrate that particular door, windows, and or get into your school. And then if they're successful to where they can get in, we immediately, and here's the key to it, not only if the audit's going on at the time, we're not evacuating, we're auditing and looking at exactly what's going on in that school district through our camera system. So as soon as it's over with, that administrator, the team, we meet with them, go over the ins and outs about the process and update our processes at that particular time. So it's real live information, somebody from the outside that the staff don't know. It could be coming in with the milkman. It could be coming in with a lunchroom lady. It could be coming in as a normal visitor, acting as a student. Why do we do that? To make sure that we got those safeguards in place to prevent someone from being inside our school unannounced. Okay? One of the last points that I want to talk about is our active shooter drills and training that we provide for our teachers, administration. That particular segment is when the students is not there, because I don't want my fourth grade student coming home and saying some man ran down the hall with a gun, okay? So we train our staff members different times when we have that availability, partner with our sheriff's office. And they come in and they train our staff on active duty, active shooter. What is that? We train them on what to do if you hear a gunshot, what to do if you hear something going on. And if you can't run, you can't fight, you hide. Those type things is done in connection with our local sheriff's office. They have a curriculum that they go over with us and go over it and make sure that our staff members at each one of our schools know exactly what to do and when to do it. Okay?
So one of the things that is key, as we saw last week, was what is the district response? What is the response of law enforcement to an incident? We have been having tabletop activities for 4 or 5 years now, both physical security and cybersecurity. For instance, the Friday before we got out for Thanksgiving break last year, every principal and one assistant principal from each school gathered at LCCA, and we went through a tabletop scenario, which is a branching scenario of a school shooter. And they had to talk about what they would do in their individual school, and then they got to listen to the conversation of what the district would do. Some of the takeaways from that is the principals understanding their job was immediate, take care of the kids. We'll take care of everything else from the district. Also was the understanding that law enforcement's going to come in, they're going to run to the fight, and they're going to take care of the issue. Law enforcement was in the room with us for that event, and we have had other events. We've had people from the GBI here, from GTA, Georgia Technology Authority here. We've done joint efforts, joint exercise with Gainesville City, with Gainesville City Police, with Public Works and Emergency Management from both jurisdictions. But tabletop activities are crucial so that you know how you're going to react. And they're not, while they are scenario-based, they can be generalized to whatever the situation may be. And part of that is some outcomes is that we have enhanced our radio system because of those tabletop activities. We've installed more repeaters and newer radios. We also have enhanced our relationships with all of our law enforcement partners, whether it be a Oakwood City, Gainesville City, Flowery Branch, Hall County, state folks. And it really has done us a lot of good to sit and talk through these things. These are not short activities. 2.5 hours is the minimum time it takes to go through this, and they are heavy because they are real. So speaking of personnel, Eric.
Yes, sir. And I may add, those tabletop drills, a lot to do with our staff. We certainly partner with all those agencies as they do their training in our buildings and how they're going to respond. In regards to personnel, we certainly have district staff, and some of them are speaking today, but our personnel, our safety personnel, are each one of those teachers and leaders in our buildings. And I appreciate the fact that some of y'all have taught in our buildings, had kids, have grandkids. I myself have three nieces, 2 nephews, a brother, a sister-in-law, a mother, and 2 children that are all in our schools. And so our personnel are those, I think, start with those teachers and leaders in the building. We have people in the IT department that dedicate a good portion of their time to security, whether that's the access control that Dr. Turpin spoke about, cameras, or not the main focus today, but are keeping our systems safe from outside attacks. We also have currently 18 SROs, that is 15 that serve our middle schools and high schools, 3 roving SROs that serve our elementary schools, and we are in the process of hiring an additional SRO to serve as a roving SRO. Last year, in addition to those staff or team members, we added a lieutenant to that command structure, and so that lieutenant is the dedicated leader of that team. We do at our high schools, we do have a total of 9 security officers that help be an extra set of eyes and ears on the exterior. Certainly when we added those, the thought was high schools have a lot more traffic than middle and high, or than elementary and middle schools, and so we have those security officers. And then, and lastly, on personnel, and I think Dr. Turpin said this, or is going to say it, this, we certainly don't have time to have an all-encompassing list, but this is an overview for the board today. The last part of personnel is we have dedicated safety coordinators at each school. And those safety coordinators work with myself and Avery on developing those school safety plans, on helping walk alongside the principal and implementation of those and the response. And we're looking forward, we actually have a meeting coming up with them, looking forward to continue to grow their leadership in our buildings. The last thing there, and we put it last intentionally, is mental health and emotional health. And I just want to share with you guys, I've got a list of the things we do, but I want to share with the board why we do them. So the Secret Service puts out a lot of studies on mass attacks, on threats to school, on studies on averted school attacks. And it's really robust in their reporting and their data. And when we're talking about mental health and emotional health, in 2019, the Protecting America's Schools report from the Secret Service said that 91% of attackers dealt with mental health issues. So out of the ones they studied, 91% of those individuals that intended or did do harm in that study to schools had mental health issues. And while they'll be quick to point out, when we attend our trainings with GEMA or FEMA, it's quick to be pointed out there is not a profile of a school attacker. There's not a checklist that we can go through, but there are some common traits that you see time and time again. For example, in that report, all the attackers had social stressors involving relationships with peers or romantic partners. And that's the bold topic. Underneath that, they went on to say a lot more of them. So it said all had those stressors, but it said a lot of them had relationship issues at home and in other places. Nearly every attacker experienced a negative home life, like I just said. And a leading motive for attackers was grievances, and the leading grievance was bullying. And so this is, I'm an educator. I have the blessing of in a district role, like Mr. Schofield said. So I can't speak to the whole realm of what we do in our student services, but I do want to share some of the things we do in an effort to reach these children that we would see in these percent or these statistics.
Eric, before you talk about interventions, because again, every Monday morning quarterback has an easy answer for how you keep our schools safe. There are almost no common denominators. There are almost no common denominators. There are almost no common denominators. A common denominator is not how many guns dad has in the safe. A common denominator is not the color of a child's skin. A common denominator is not socioeconomic status. What percent have mental illness issues that are going on in their lives, Eric?
The report said 91%.
What percent of the kids are having social issues with others, relational issues where they don't have the skills to manage emotional dysregulation?
All the ones in that report.
100%. So individuals that want to talk down about supporting students and their emotional and mental needs are missing the entire opportunity to make a difference here. We've never lived in a time like this in our country. And I thank this board for doubling down again on emotional mental health, and this district will continue to do that. Thank you, Eric.
Yes, sir. And to speak to that, Tamara Etterling just retired, and Joey Millwood has taken her place. And I just want to point to the work that they're doing. So MTSS, or multi-tier system of supports, and in that is RTI, and I'm not the expert in it. But what that is different levels in which we can grab a hold of kids and support them where they're at. And you go all the way up to Tier 3, you're starting to get a whole lot closer to the children we're talking about. And so the effort that team does to pour into those children is invaluable. At programs like Sources of Strength, to teach them those resilient skills and how to work through it, as well as Trusted Adults. And our Trusted Adult campaign, it leads me to the last statistic that I'm going to share and turn it back over to Dr. Turpin. But in the 2021 Secret Service analysis of plot against schools, it said that 94% of the cases plotters shared their intentions about carrying out an attack. 94% shared their intentions. And of the cases reported, 61% came from peers. And so when we talk about a trusted adult, somebody that I can go to and talk to, and when we talk about creating a culture in which children are encouraged and enabled to share, I think that's a valuable part of our security, and we are going to work harder to promote that. I shared with media this past week after we talked about a bunch of this stuff we talked about, and I said, I hope that we can promote that one of the most, I shared it with a young man today when we went to speak with him. I think one of the most impactful things we can do is get kids comfortable that it's not snitching, it's not a bad thing, but if I see something, and that's the name of the campaign, see something, say something, or I hear something, that I share it with somebody that can do something about it. When we see these stats of children who were in such a bad place that they wanted to harm others, somebody knew about it, and attacks have been stopped because of that. And so you guys will know lastly on our school safety website, which is schoolsafety.hallcode.org, it's got more information on there about our safety, but it also has a submit a tip, which is on the front page of our district website as well. So we want to encourage folks to use that.
That submitted tip is also on all of our local websites. So we've talked in generalities tonight. I'm thankful that state law allows us to not share specifics, physical safety, cyber safety. In open session, of course, we can talk about those in executive session if you would like. As you know, I opened up by saying it's a continuous improvement operation. And so when, as people have ideas and as we work through opportunities, the first contact is the local school principal. But here's Eric and Avery's email address. Anyone can feel free to contact the principal or contact Eric or Andy. I'm sorry, Eric or Avery, and they will get back with them. What questions may we answer from you five?
You know I got some. And say a few things. Never. Say a few things first. My daughter is 34. Her birthday was June 20th, 1990. She was 9 years old on June 20th, 1999. Anybody know what happened on that day? Columbine. She thinks about that every birthday. She mentions that. She has a precious 11-month-old son that is my grandson. I've got 2 other grandchildren in the school system, and this definitely affected more my daughter than my granddaughter. I know there's a lot of folks out there that are I don't want to say Monday morning quarterback, but it is. There's a lot of things, and I also want to say that I started on this board in 2000. We didn't have a single school that had a vestibule. We had open doors. We were all open. None of this that we're talking about is new to us. We've known what's been going on. I think the good thing is that we're saying more than we typically have, but we still got a book that's out there that we don't want everybody to know all of our security plans. The vestibules have been funded and built in the last 10 years. Every school has them. We have these different policies. The audits have been going on for 3 years. I just want everybody to know this isn't something that we're just starting to think about. Unfortunately, you learn something every time this happens, and it's a tragedy that it happens. But we try, and I know this staff here looks at this and says, are we doing the right thing? What else can we do? We've talked through all the things that are available, and I trust that what we're doing is some of the best. And I want to ask Mr. Niles, you've worked through juvenile court before. You've worked for the sheriff's department. You've worked for a couple of school systems, and you've been with us now how long?
Since May.
Since May. So you're pretty well in tune with what we've got going on out there. Compare us to what you've seen out there before. I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like there's a lot of gaps, or we're ahead of the game?
And thank you for that. I started my career back in '86 with Hall County Sheriff's Office, left there, went to the prison, in charge of the prison, went from there when Governor Deal came in office, went with him for his term in office. So I've had a opportunity to visit a lot of different school districts throughout this state. Worked for one local, and now here. Some of the best things that we've got going is our mental health preparedness and awareness that we give for staff as well as our students. You just don't find that. And if you can deal with the issues, you won't deal with the issues. And we're doing a jam-up job as it relates to identifying, treatment, and servicing not just the kids, but that entire family. That's what's going to change, is when we do the work that we do, and it spills from that child back home into a loving, caring environment. That's when we'll see things change in a different direction. Evil will creep in now. You and I both know evil was an angel at one point in time. So don't think that we have the silver bullet. We got a lot of tools on our tool belt that's going to impact the future.
Thank you, Mr. Niles.
Eric, one last thing, when we talk about being the most caring place on earth, and if you see something, say something, not only do we coach our students, and we'll continue to coach our students even better, that the best way to care for your friend is to tell someone in charge that something is going on, but a way not to care for your friend is to utilize social media the way so many people do, with absolutely no care for what happens to anyone. And so many of these issues that we deal with have their roots in social media. So there's two pieces to that. One is if you see something, you say something to the appropriate person, and you don't say things to other people. That has effects on these young people and the adults in the buildings. That never goes away. So just want to make sure we make that clear.
Ryan, can I ask one more question? Okay, thank you. Perspective of students. I know you've been in schools the last several days. Are you getting feedback, or have they come up with some ideas and maybe some thoughts, and maybe this is some things that we need to talk to our students about to help them feel more comfortable, especially our high school. I mean, you can't come talk to a kindergarten class about these, but high school students, have you had some feedback?
Yes, sir. Both at the middle school level and at the high school level. Peer pressure is very real. But the uniqueness about our school district is the individuals that we spoke with, those students. We ask, do you have a trusted adult that you feel safe in our system that you can share your information with? And those that we've talked with said yes. So we're doing the right thing. Our youth, our kids, our students come up with some uniqueness things that affects them, such as clear book bags. We've had the emails about those. But when you ask the kids, they'll tell you the truth about how they can manipulate the system to get stuff in through a clear book bag. So we take all that in consideration. We utilize that with our tools, and we come up with solutions that make everybody safe.
Is there anywhere in the world, any system, any program, 100% safe?
I would say if it was, every last one of us would be out of a job as it relates to that environment. Your Walmarts, your neighborhood Waffle House, your churches. Everywhere we go, we've got to, and that's why it's a national campaign, see something, send something, because everybody is utilizing social media. Send that information to law enforcement. See something, say something. Say something to somebody if you recognize something out of the ordinary. That's what's going to change our face, is when we all get together on one common goal and stop pointing fingers at things that just ain't right to do.
All right, just a couple things before we go. One is we hear the term SROs. In Hall County, our SROs are Hall County law enforcement officers. They're not privately hired. They're not a school system employee. They are employees of the Hall County Sheriff's Department. So as soon as they're involved, Hall County Sheriff's Department, with all that backup, is involved. I think you've heard a lot of stuff that we do in the system. And I want you to make sure you take, if you don't take anything else away from this tonight, understand that we're not bragging about what we're doing. We're not telling you we know everything. We're partner with our neighbors, law enforcement, GEMA, and showing them what our plans are and asking them, what can we do better? It's not isolated to us, and we do that on a regular basis. We're not arrogant enough to sit here and tell you we're doing everything right. We ask those that are in this law enforcement and in the security business what we can do better, and we do that on a regular basis. It's not something we do and put the plan on the shelf and say, there it is, we've done it. We look for outside input, so it's not isolated to just us. And it's unfortunate that we learned from incidents that happened last week, but as the information comes out about what truly happened and how it transpired, we'll probably make some adjustments from that. But yeah, just take it, when you take away from today, is that we don't know everything, and we get to the people that know more than we do and ask them how we're doing and what we can do better.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to, if I may, it's just a bit of anecdotal evidence, well, along with my previous service on the board. I know my youngest child, no longer children, graduated roughly 2013-14, so roughly 10 years ago. And in the past few weeks, as school began, and I started touring the schools, beginning in the South Hall area, which is my area. I have been, I've compared what it was when my children graduated to what it is now in terms of security, the entrances, all the above that you've been talking about. And to me, now Wednesday, we were together. We were all crushed just when we heard that news. But I can honestly say that as a grandfather with two in there now versus one of my children are in there, I am so much more. My grandchildren are more safe by, I don't know, exponentially than my children were when they came through 10 years ago. Now, being more safe doesn't mean that's where we stop. It just means thank you for what you have done, what you guys have done on the 5 years I was out, and we're not going to stop. So I appreciate you guys, what you do, but I just wanted to say that.
I was a principal or administrator in Hall County over 25 years, and I always felt very safe in the schools. I felt well trained. I felt well supported. Yes, I've taken a loaded weapon off of a kid before, and a kid told me about that. A kid who trusted me told me that at 3 o'clock. We were loading buses at 3:15, and I had to go approach that kid and search them, and they had a loaded gun, and they intended to shoot somebody. It was the first day of school. They had been harassed all summer, and they were going to the bus stop to take care of some of that. So it is about trusted adults. It's about administrators knowing what to do. well-trained. The other day, probably the scariest day of my whole career was 9/11 was pretty scary, you know, because you didn't know what was going to happen in your school, and kids were upset, and I had to tell my teachers, turn off all radios, all TVs. These kids need to be in the security and safety of their own home with their parents to see and hear this. I was honest with them. I went on the intercom. I said, there are things going on in our country that are not good, but you need to wait until you get home and talk with your parents and watch it with your parents, and they did that. Unfortunately, the day after that, Hall County got a call saying there was going to be some terroristic action with East Hall Middle School, that's where I was principal, and Hall County Courthouse. So for the first time in my career, I had to evacuate a building of 900 students. We had to use our secondary site, which I was well trained in that, where I needed to go, what I needed to do. I had to take 900 kids down a main highway to a field away from the school, and the Hall County school buses picked us up there. They took us to a neighboring elementary school where we stayed the rest of the day. The scariest moment for me was I had to go back in and get the chocolate milk for lunch out of the building, but I felt totally safe and secure and supported. We knew exactly what to do. My teachers knew what to do. I didn't play games. I got on the intercom. I said, guys, I got to have you out of this building in 1 minute. Take your rolls, take your kids, go to our site where we're supposed to evacuate to. And we did. Everything went great, and we had a safe day. But it was a scary day. But being trained, well trained, and knowing that I had all that support, Hall County was over there immediately to help me and get kids in buses and move them to a new site. And, you know, so I've always felt safe. I feel like we have great plans, and I'm with you. I've been in a long time. We've got more in place on safety and security than we've ever had. And I feel good about it. I do. We don't want to rest on our laurels. We want to keep adding to. But we do that all the time. I was retrained as a principal every year, trained my teachers. I didn't play. When we had a fire drill, I said, you get down, and I walked around the building, you better be down or you're going home, because this is real. You may have a real fire one day, and I may have to be responsible for you. Tornado drill, same thing. No playing. You got down in your position, and you were quiet. And I think all the administrators in Hall County are that way. We love the kids, and it's a big burden feeling like you're responsible for their lives. And that's what folks are experiencing this week. Principals are nervous, I'm sure. They know what to do, but still knowing that all those lives are on your shoulders, it's a big responsibility. And these folks up here feel the same thing. You know, I've had some tears this week, and I told my children, I said, just being on the board, knowing that I've got to make sure that we do everything we can to take care of these kids, it's a big job. And we take it serious, we do. So thank you.
There's nothing else. It's unfortunate we have to discuss things like this during a meeting, but let's move on to something a little bit more exciting here. We're going to
Change of venue on the 23rd. Aaron, are you going to, Matt, or you just want me to go ahead and cover? We're going to meet at East Hall High School. We're going to celebrate what is what I continue to call Renaissance East, and an absolutely incredible new facility that you've allowed us to build out there at East Hall High School. Again, so the next board meeting will be at East Hall High School on September 23rd. More information to come in terms of the schedule and the tours and the ribbon cutting, similar to the Deal Elementary.
Well, if I can add a little color analysis, 4:15 will be tours of the building. It's a fantastic building. And the weather permitting, we'll have the ribbon cutting in front of the cafeteria doors, that hallway that spans the 2 3-story towers. So on the side of the property. So we look forward to having you there in the public at 4:15 for student-led tours of the facility and 5 o'clock for ribbon cutting.
All right, Suzanne Gerard is going to do our special guests that we have here with us and working with us in our schools. And Guten Abend. Guten Abend.
I am delighted to introduce you all and to thank you So do we want to just get them all and do all pictures at one time? Okay, so when I call you, if you'll come up and grab the certificate. So Franz Hertz. Come to this way.
And if she mispronounces it, tell her, so we get it right here.
But they're really kind to you.
Okay.
Okay. And now. Mary's at West Hall High School.
Oh.
Anna is at North Hall High School. And I will say that Anna is with a host family. I mean, we are indebted to host families, right? Without host families, we could not do this. Maria is also at North Hall High School.
How about their professor, too? Let's get him in on this picture, for sure.
Of kinesiology and works with our athletic trainer. So he's in our schools.
Fantastic. Welcome to our students. Thank you for being here. By the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but we actually have 15 German companies with major presences in Hall County. And so if we haven't arranged a visit through the chamber with some of these incredible young teachers to be with some of our German companies, that would be wonderful. Maybe they can talk them into coming back and working here with us. But welcome. Enjoy your time, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to not wait too long to bring Ms. Gerard right back up. She is going to share with you the graduation dates proposed for the end of this school year.
Suzanne.
Okay. I love it when y'all want me to use the microphone. I have never been accused of being quiet. Okay, so before you have the proposed graduation dates. I wanted to bring to your attention that each year I do revisit this idea with all of our high school principals, asking if they would prefer graduations at their campus on the school grounds, or if they would like to continue to use Free Chapel, the only facility in our district, or our county rather, that would hold large numbers. And overwhelmingly, every single principal expressed their desire to continue to hold graduations at Free Chapel. I remember distinctly last year, Dr. Smith and I had to use an umbrella multiple times because we had poor weather. And so the inclement weather is hard to predict. And so as a former high school principal myself, I always worried about the possibility of having to move people quickly into the gymnasium. And then, of course, moving people quickly means only bringing one or two folks with you at most. And so this facility allows us to have graduations and enjoy an indoor, climate-controlled, I might add, with a number of guests that we can predetermine. So I'm presenting this to you and asking for this to be approved for this school year.
Motion to approve the graduation calendar date.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have the 2024-2025 Local Board Training Plan. And just a little while, I'll ask for consideration for action tonight to approve it. This is the same, this plan is a plan that we submit each year around this time. I went back in my email system today, and about 10 years, for the last 10 years, around this time, we submit this plan to the Georgia Department of Education, just for folks' awareness with regard to this. In order to serve as a board member, you're to get trained every year. Board members are supposed to get 9 hours of training. Unless you're a new board member, you're supposed to get 12. That is until the board desires to go after exemplary status. If the board goes after exemplary status, regular members are supposed to go from 9 hours to 12, which is what you'll see on this plan, and then new members need to get at least 15, and this plan is way more than that. This current year, we will have 2 official new board members. One of those will be Bo Shepherd, once he is elected. I think he's running unopposed in November, and the second will be Mr. Sloan as the GSBA, even though he has served as a board member for many years.
You guys have changed your mind since my
Well,
last question.
Yes, the GSBA is telling us.
Not you guys.
Right. GSBA has said that he will be treated as a new board member once we do that. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Also, just so you know, anyone that has questions about how this process works, we do not just choose training topics. We do not just choose marbles, Mr. Lewis, or basket weaving. There is a list of topics or modules that either the GSBA presents or either somebody the GSBA has certified to present. In this case, many of these will be presented or facilitated in person with a representative of RESA, Pioneer RESA, and also the new board members will experience GSBA training. You can go on that website, go to board training, and you will see a list of the modules. So that's what this group is certified to do. So using our feedback from previous years, these are the modules that we're slated to have for this coming year, which will be facilities planning, which is always appropriate since we have been building schools in our district recently. Analyzing student achievement and outcome data, because we are in the business of teaching and learning. Legal issues and ethics for boards of education, which was denoted by the exemplary committee as saying, since we will have new board members, that we probably need to review that as a board. And then analyzing demographic and financial data are the major whole board trainings that will happen this next year. So I just wanted to go through how that happens. We were going to have a training tonight, but we did realize that math scores are still under embargo with the Georgia Department of Education, and then some of the same people that are going to represent that got involved with supporting our schools at the tail end of last week with the events that happened at Appalachia. So for that reason, we decided to reschedule it. That's why you see a TBA. We made that decision here at the district office, so that's where we are with regard to this, but I do ask for consideration for approval, as I'll be submitting this to the Georgia Department of Education tomorrow morning.
For a number of years now, we've done this kind of plan. In the past, in some other systems, you go off to a generic training. We've chosen and worked with RESA so we can do our training with our data, so it works for us, and they do it here. So we're actually using our information to do our training with, as opposed to going out off and having generic training. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
GAVT receipts, Jonathan?
GAVT receipts for the month of August were $1,159,000 and some change. That is both a healthy increase over last month and last year.
Any questions on that, let us know.
Under that used to be the birthday tax,
Yes.
local birthday. Now it's the GAVT that we changed to, how many years ago? About 5 now?
2012 was when the law passed.
Oh, golly. Wow.
Goes in a hurry, Mr. Morris. Goes in a hurry. Next item we want to bring before you, and we are going to ask you to act on this tonight because, Cheryl, I don't know what's going on, but we've had more cooler outages this year in a shorter period of time than I can remember. And one of the things that we use a refrigerated reefer small truck for is the ability to pull up to any school and handle a cooler or a freezer outage, and also to move product around where we need it at our different schools and facilities. So Cheryl, you went through the process. Please explain.
Four respondents, three of which submitted prices, and we had a call that on Southern Middle, bless them, so they didn't submit theirs. But from Chevrolet was the low bid. It is a gas powered.
And Cheryl, would you talk about where the funds come from? Because I wouldn't want to think you didn't tell us.
So, actually, these are going to be funds that we have approved to spend in our excess funds for the project. And like I said earlier, Hardy Chevrolet is the low bid, $112,986.
Motion to approve Hardy Chevrolet for the low bid.
Favor?
Jonathan, East Boston analysis, please.
Yes, sir. East Blost for August was $3,771,000 and a little bit extra, which is both still a good, healthy amount. A little bit over the same time last year, a little bit over last month. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Projects. Matthew.
Yes, sir. We have a couple of projects to talk to you about tonight for consideration. This is the first time the board has seen any of this, so we're not expecting, you'll see some associated funding requests. As the next item, we're not expecting any action tonight on that, but wanted to go ahead and get this information in front of you. So first off, if we could look at the world language primary site plan.
And Matt, before you do that, just a couple updates. Our number one project in terms of the existing school buildings that we have left that we're not in the process of already replacing, world language would be our campus most in need for several reasons. Number one, the age and the quality of the facility. Number two, just the traffic flow and all of the safety challenges that we have, the way that building and that property is configured. And number three, they're undersized for the program that they've been offering, again, I guess close to 20 years now, more like 17. But so once again, just a reminder, we had thought we may be able to find a piece of land somewhere between there and Oakwood. We have not. There's extreme topographical problems in that area, as well as just a real limited amount of property. So Matt scratched his head at least a dozen times. We may be to Plan J by now, but this is the first one that we all could come to the conclusion that we liked, and it has to do with World Language Elementary actually having to move to the Oakwood campus after they go to their new campus next year, while we take down and rebuild on the current site, but make much better use of the facility with multi-story buildings and much more healthy traffic patterns. So Matt, take it from there.
Yes, sir. So what you're seeing here is, first of all, you don't see the existing building there. So this is basically a full tear down, as the superintendent was speaking about. Here you have State Route 53 here, and the entrance that is currently here that lines up with the median cut is still in the same location. And we have a current entrance down here. We'll actually be moving that to the other side, and then working our buses to this is be a right in, right out, and then left in, right in, left in at the main entrance here. But what you see is, I think the main thing that we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to place the building. Basically, this is, I don't want to say this is just a shape, because we have studied this and we know that this building will work. As a matter of fact, this building is larger than the one that we would need. This is actually for 1,000 students. We're only looking at 750 to 800 as the plan for this. So this building would probably be a little bit shorter here on this end. But the point of this was to see, with the usable property, because of the way that the property drops off so harshly to the back, can we use what we have? Can we get what we need and get the cars off the road? That's been one of the biggest challenges for World Language since its inception is, you know, just the fact that being non-districted, we have a lot of car riders. We did do some counts.
And stacks 250 cars, is that correct?
That's right. We on 8/19, we did a count of 318 morning cars, 210 afternoon. So that's a lot of traffic on the road. And they're handling it very well, but it's just that stacking up in the afternoon that really kills us. So what we decided to do here was propose the building be very much to the front of the property. And then what we're looking at is your car rider line is coming around here, going around the field and back to the front, double lane. So that's 200 and they're saying 264 car spaces stacking on the property. I think that's pretty good. I was really impressed with this, and the reason that it's working is because we have the building so compact. So again, this is 2 stories, 2-story building, have some similarities, a little different, but some similarities to Deal Elementary. But this is all basically the majority of the parking in back, some visitor parking in the front. Playgrounds here on this end. Again, this will probably be shorter. They'll actually give us more playground space here. So I was very pleased with how it came out. And what we need to do now, if we want to move forward with this, is get some true survey information. This is our best guess. We believe this is very close to how things can work. But we need to get some survey information and dig a little deeper into this design. And so that's why we're bringing it to you tonight.
Beverly Moody, principal, is here tonight. Beverly, talk to us. I know nobody looks forward to moving to a temporary location for a year or two, but you and I have talked about that. You want to share with the board your thoughts?
Yes, Mr. Schofield asked, how do you feel about moving somewhere? And if we know that this is coming, that would be amazing. This is going on our 16th year in that building. We continue to grow, and we have 3 pre-K in our 3 pre-K classes at our school. We're also kindergarten through 5th grade. We have 5 homeroom classes in kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade now. And our 4th and 5th grade have 4 homerooms. So we are at max capacity right now. We do not have a conference room. We don't have a place for the teachers to eat. So we've maxed out all the space that we have. We've kind of outgrown that building, but we do the best that we can. But I know our families and everything, if they know that a new building's coming, especially being able to give some relief to the car rider issue, would be amazing. And so I think a little sacrifice in the beginning would be worth the prize at the end. So.
Thank you, Bev.
I see 139 parking spaces. How many do you have now?
And that's 139 not using one of those lanes in terms of the car rider. So you probably have more like 250 places for cars as well as the bus area. Yes.
One other little feature that I had them add, which we're going to work really hard to accomplish, is this connector that you see here to allow us to get over to our bus line. It's always nice if we can tie those 2 pieces together, number 1 and number 2. I could see there being some opportunities there. If we get stacked up on the road and whatever, some opportunities there to have some options, because we like to give them options, of different ways of handling the situations that they have. But very excited about this, and again, just wanted you to have this, let you look at it, send me any questions that you have, and look forward to hearing from you on that.
Questions? The next plan that Matt is going to talk to you about is one that we have not discussed before, but let's just be honest, if you were to begin on McKever Road at Loretta's and head west on McKever toward the new elementary school, toward West Hall Middle, West Hall High, Flowery Branch Elementary, go down till you hit the Buford city limits and head south, go through Friendship, come back up through Spout Springs, and then go back on Union Church Road to Chestnut Mountain Elementary, you'd find that we don't have much space down there for elementary students. That area has exploded. One of the areas we were not expecting to explode this rapidly has been that McKever corridor out in the Oakwood area. And so that is what is bringing us to this next plan for you, and that's an expansion at Flowery Branch Elementary School.
Okay, and on this one, we are not as far along, so just wanted to kind of show you what we're dealing with some of the issues. So here's the elementary school, here's Radford Road going across here. And what they're doing right now is we're bringing our cars in like this, double laning and coming back out. We're bringing our buses in here and back out. What's happening is our car rider line, there's just not enough space here to stack. So that's one of our issues. But we have to consider that as we try to decide if we're going to add onto this building, how exactly would we do that? So keeping that in mind, what we're looking at here is the way that this building works. It has kind of a loop that goes on inside the building like that. So all of your learning commons, cafeteria, all of that is right up here in this corner, the gymnasium right there. So what we're looking at as a couple of different ideas, but again, we're going to need, first thing we're going to need is a survey because we're awfully close to property lines here and we need to kind of see what space we have. So we're looking at possibly something right there. If that won't work, we're looking right there. Reason we would choose this one over that one, this one works better with where things are, a little closer, and also would keep us from having to move playground equipment. So those things we're looking at right off the bat, and then possibly something like this for our car riders to come around, and then our buses possibly to come around the front like this. I'm not sure that's the way it'll work out, but that's the kind of thinking we have. We know that that one of the things that that's going to hit us right off the bat is we are going to have to do some stormwater detention here. There's none, zero on the property now, but our engineers have looked at this preliminarily. We have enough property back here to get that stormwater to work. So this is a nice, it's only 17 acres. But it's a nice laying, 17 acres. And I think the last piece is we will need to do something here with parking, so we'll need to increase that, but this is very loose. So I think we have the ability to do all of that. So this looks very doable, but what we'll need to do next is, number one, get some survey information so we know where our property lines are, what our ability to get around the building is, and then two, to just kind of really look at more closely at what the possibilities are for these additions. But what we're looking at for the addition size, something similar to Lyman Hall, a little smaller, 16 classrooms. Our core spaces are fairly good, with the exception of the media center, which is just extremely small. So we're looking at that either being in here or possibly doing some sort of an addition up here. But again, we'll study all of that and make the best decision that we can and bring that back to you.
Questions, thoughts?
Mallory, we go back to Flower Branch Elementary School. Thank you.
Actually, one of the reasons this is so appealing, Mr. Morris, is that's a huge field in the back. I mean, this is one of the few flat pieces of ground we have in the Hall County School District. It lies beautifully. And we could certainly talk to the county. They already let us use a lot of that park space for that elementary.
That on the right side to be able to even have around back, but you'd have to have, you know, just a thought when I look at it, because there's some gradient, if I remember right, going up the right side of that where those
Could
other
be.
fields are.
There is, but there's also not a lot of space there. I mean, it's not
It
as
is,
far,
it is close.
it's not as
but-
far as it looks on there.
But we do get cars around there on like open house and all of that. So I know we can get around at least with a single lane. We just have to kind of check and see how close we are.
Well, I see what you're talking about, Nate, for the car line. Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. We could certainly talk to him.
So,
Very backfield for them has a parking lot. If we could tie into that to give another exit out of the property.
this one back here. I did look at that. That's pretty close. I actually drove back there. There's a small building right here that you have to work around. And I wasn't sure exactly where our back corner was when I was out there, but yeah, it lays pretty well.
Anyway, you bring that to you. If 10 years ago, if you had said McKever corridors are where we're going to have the fastest growth in the county, I'd have said, no, that's not what anybody's telling us, but that's where it's come. And so you build where your kids are.
Come back a little bit more north and just watch what happens with Gainesville, though, because a lot of that is annexed in already.
Vast majority of those are city. As they've come down White Sulphur, they've annexed the city water along those lines.
Okay, and the last one is the toughest. We're gonna just wanted to get an opportunity to take a look, and this was only about car rider stacking, but we run some drone shots. This is North Hall High School, of course, up here, North Hall Middle here, Rillo Road running down here, and Mount Vernon Road running there. So run the drone in I think 3 locations here, looking at this to see what we can do about the situation. Don't know exactly what that is yet, but we do at least understand kind of what's happening with our congestion. So at North Hall High School, you have exiting there and there. You have in here and out there. So they're going both ways there. They go in both ways here, but not as much. And then we have the same thing happening right there. So basically 4 times up through here. We're coming out, and a lot of these cars are turning back to the left, which is causing us some problems. Actually, one of the drone videos we actually recorded a student getting hit, pulling out of this driveway up here. So anything we can do to help with that, we would like to be able to do. North Hall is really tough, but because it sits so close to the road, I don't know that there are a lot of options that we have for anything we can do to the high school. But one thing that we might be able to do is help the middle school, because what I'm seeing here, we started the drone the day that we took this footage, 200 cars in the afternoon. We took the footage, started right at 3 o'clock, and they were already stacked. There's a really nice long turn lane all the way down to here. They were already all the way down to somewhere in here at 3 o'clock. We didn't release, you didn't see the first child get in a car until 3:37. Now, the good news for North Hall Middle is they run 2 lines. Morning runs very smoothly, very quick. Afternoon, within 20 minutes, they had run 200 cars through there in 20 minutes. That's amazing. But what we need to do is get some cars off of here, and the only way that we know to do that is up here. So looking at some possibilities, maybe similar to what we did at Chestnut Mountain, where we come up here and pull in some lanes up here somewhere where we can just get off the road. The other option that I'm not sure really has any viability is to go around this field, but I have a feeling that that's not really going to work. I think it's just too tight to get around there. So, yeah, we would end up having to come right back to there, or we'd spend a lot of money trying to climb that bank. So I really think that our best option is something here. To get that to work. But again, we need some good survey information so that we can really understand those grades and to get some preliminary designs working so that we can see what we can do.
That picture doesn't do justice.
Way down.
Deep below just to the right.
Some other potential good news is in the T-Splosh planning. When you look at the priority projects in the top 7, 2 of them have to do with roundabouts, one at the corner of Jim Hood and Mount Vernon, the other a second roundabout right after that at Rilla Road, which could certainly
would help a
make
lot.
huge differences in the mess that happens up there. But once again, those would be contingent upon a T-Splosh passing.
Have there been any, and this is gonna be a long ways out, because just it's taken so long to this point, but to tying in 60 to 29, 129, the Sardis connector will be coming in, and they're gonna eventually go around, I don't know how far, the problem is the lake and get another bridge over there and et cetera, but I don't know how, if they go out that far or not, but
There are no plans for that yet. That is not in T-Splosh planning right now.
it's not in that one. Okay.
Fortunately, again, it's for our next meeting, but Spout Springs widening, continuing all the way down to Brazelton is, and that's, we went down to the Department of Transportation 18 years ago and begged them to widen Spout Springs Road, and they said, you don't need it. And so here we are, and finally, if we can pass T-Splosh, we think we'll be sitting in an opportunity to widen Spout Springs all the way down to the Mulberry area. So,
That's it.
thank you, Matt. Matt, project, and Aaron, project funding requests?
So the requests that you see are for the 3 projects that we just discussed for design fees. And then the last item is replacement of gymnasium bleachers at East Middle and North Middle. What we're looking at doing there, if you remember, over the past 2 years, we expanded the band room. And when we did that, we took a storage room that's on the end down there. There was a set of doors there that kept us from taking the bleachers all the way down. So now that those doors are gone, what we'd like to do is go ahead and replace these bleachers. The bleachers have a really gentle slope right now, very deep. There's only 9 rows currently. We're looking at going back with 11 rows and taking that extra 12 feet to the far wall. So that would take us from 340 seats to 476.
Not asking for any action tonight, so if you have questions, feel free to get a hold of Matt or Aaron or I, and we'd be glad to go over that with you. So, thank you very much, Matt. Project updates. Me this time.
So we have 2 projects it's under construction currently. First is Everwood Elementary. We're well on schedule. Things are moving along very well. We're still in the process of roofing, laying brick, and just going through through all of the normal construction procedures, but we are still well in shape to be probably around spring, around March or so. I think we'll see this building finish up.
I shared with you last week. We met with our committee of 8 community members, teachers, parents, with the Everwood in mind, representatives from both Oakwood and McKever, and we've already settled on the colors of red and blue, if you remember, and then through voting and working it through and consensus, we landed on the Everwood Owls. And so we wanted to present that to you because I know we've got some timelines that we've got to start looking at gym floors and those kinds of things. And so I want to share again with the board that the Owls is kind of what the committee has recommended, and we kind of would like to get your approval as soon as you're willing to give it.
And again, I just said we don't need to do that tonight necessarily, but certainly at our next meeting, and I kind of like that. I mean, and the first thing we asked was who came up with that. So it was,
So the process now is Stan's working with some of our local graphics folks, coming up with some scenarios, possibilities for mascots, and work with the committee, and then we'll bring those back to you. And we hope to have those done in the next 45 days.
How do you like owls? Well, my,
If they love that and the community loves
well, that's,
That would be the only, if it were middle school, high school, I would say no.
if that's what they've come back with, that's what I was gonna say. Let's go. I mean, to give them 10 more days to, or 14 more days to get going.
I remember when Mount Vernon named themselves, they called themselves the Earth Force. And it was Go Earth Force, go.
Yeah.
They're Trojans.
It's not Earth Force anymore. I'll
It
make a
did
motion. I'll
strike
make a
fear
motion.
into their opponents.
I'll
when
make a
they-
motion to approve, owls if that's what the committee came back with.
That'd be great if you're willing. Yeah, that's- Make that in the form of a motion?
I just made it, motion to, go with the committee.
All in favor?
Everwood Owls, that's exciting. I like that.
That's fine,
I like it.
with a caveat. Well, just the comedy fodder that,
Personnel packet, Dr. Swafford or Dr. Brown or both of you?
We have the personnel package in front of you this evening. We do not need action tonight. We're back into our mode of approving packets at the regular board session, but we want to give this to you for you to begin perusing that.
Looks like we're in good shape. There weren't many.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, we're at about 3 positions left, yes.
Any questions on that? If not, Mr. Chairman, I would like to suggest we go into executive session to discuss potential litigation. I don't think you might be surprised to learn just how wide-reaching some of the correspondences about programs in your state are going all over the state and all over the Southeast, which is terribly unfortunate, but would like to have an executive session for potential litigation.
All in favor?
All we have, Mr. Chairman.
Wake that ass up. In the morning. The Breakfast Club. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Just Larry, Charlamagne the